every appointment that the president makes is founded or grounded in law, either in the Constitution or an enabling act. So if you realize the president's appointment for the ministerial portfolios were in accordance with Article 78 of the Constitution. Some appointments to state-owned companies or entities were founded under their enabling act. We realized as a minority that there was a release from the office of the president dated the 21st of January 2025. And the president listed the following appointees: Mrs. Joyce Bawa Muntari, Presidential Advisor and Special Aide to the President; Stanley Dogbe, Deputy Chief of Staff Operations; Nana Oye Bampo, Deputy Chief of Staff Administration; Seth Emmanuel Tekpe, Presidential Advisor on the Economy; Professor Francis Dodu, Presidential Advisor, National Anti-Corruption Program; Larry Bevro Latte, I'm sure he's Colonel or an officer of the Army, Special Envoy to the Alliance of Sahelian States; Nanaya Jantua, Presidential Staffer; Beatrice Anamfio, Presidential Staffer; Shamima Muslim, Deputy Presidential Spokesperson; Professor Kweku Danso Boafo, Cabinet Secretary. What is the problem of the minority? In the spirit of our Constitution, Act 463 was enacted. That is the Presidential Office Act of 1993, one of the first acts that was established by the Parliament of Ghana to give effect to the functioning of the office of the president. And let me read a long title of the act to you for the benefit of your reportage. An act to establish the presidential office to provide for staff for the president and vice president, to provide for their functions and for related purposes. I'll turn your attention to Section 4.1 of the Act. And with your kind permission, journalists and friends of the media, I'll read. The President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint such persons as he considers necessary to hold office as presidential staff in the office. The interpretation section of the Act defines office to mean office of the President and Vice President, and presidential staff to mean persons appointed under Section 4.1 of this Act. Section 4.1 states that the President shall appoint such officers in consultation with what? The Council of State. We as a minority believe that the President has acted in breach of this Act, or the provisions of Act 463. And we are requesting of the President to kindly withdraw this letter and act in consultation with the Council of State, which is not in place. At best, this letter could have been issued with a paragraph to state that these appointments are being made pending the composition of the Council of State, and that they will be regularized in conformity with this Act. That is issue number one. Number two, we realized in that same letter, I'm sure copies of which members of the media have, that the President also, by this release, signed by our colleague Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, listed under number 10 or paragraph 10, Professor Kweku Danso Boafo as Cabinet Secretary. Cabinet was created under the Constitution of Ghana. And if you read the provisions of Article 76, says that the cabinet, it talks about the cabinet, that's the heading. And the side note is also the cabinet. 76.1, there shall be a cabinet which shall consist of the president, the vice president, and not less than 10 and not more than 19 ministers of state. 2, the cabinet shall assist the president in the determination of general policy of the government. Our emphasis is on 3, clause 3. There shall be a secretary to the cabinet who shall be appointed by the president. We believe that the mode of appointment of the cabinet secretary was not done in accordance with the Constitution and ought to have been communicated separately from what the president or the communications outfit of the presidency has done. We are asking for the proper thing to be done in accordance with the Constitution. We don't begrudge the president or his nominee to sit as cabinet secretary, but we believe that it ought to be done in accordance with the Constitution. Thirdly, in the said release, under 6, a special envoy to the Alliance of Sahelian States. Ghana, we all know, is a member of ECOWAS and a very important member as such. Our brothers in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have opted out of ECOWAS. Ghana, by this release, is changing some aspect of our foreign policy program that has been in existence since Dr. Nkrumah's days. We want to find out from the president what this envoy will be doing, the face of the ECOWAS protocol, and the other treaties that we've established. And Ghana is a non-aligned nation. So we want to understand this foreign policy perspective of the president, because we don't want any backlash from some of our bilateral or multilateral partners who are against civilian rule, because military rule, because we know for a fact that ECOWAS has been in some discussions with our brothers from Mali, Burkina, and Niger. We also know for a fact that Ghana, before the exit of the MPP administration, was also in some discussions with our brothers from the Sahelian countries. So this shift from the President Mahama administration as a first major foreign policy directive ought to be clarified so that we know Ghana's position with regards to our dealings with our brothers and sisters from the Sahelian countries.